taking it a bit. It's taking it a bit. Let's make sure everything is up and active and functioning and doing all the things. Let's see, are we there? I'm waiting. YouTube says yes. Facebook. What does Facebook say? Facebook says yay. So, welcome back. We are doing an entire series on bow making. I have taught you 2 classes thus far. How to make a bow without no bow maker. Just having ribbons and a bunch of stuff you probably have around your house. Before I get started, I am Kat, owner of Kat's Creations and more. You can find me on all of the things. Pinterest, YouTube, Facebook, Etsy, Shopify, Instagram. I'm not on TikTok though. But if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, you can catch this entire series. We are deep diving in all things bow making because when I was a wreath maker, it was the one area I struggled in the most, besides color picking and all of that stuff. But bow making, it was funny because you can look at the progression of the wreaths that I made and see no bow, no bow, no bow, no bow. And then at some point you start getting bows. And then you're like, it clicks at some point. And I can't tell you at what point it will click for you. But I'm trying to take and make things as easy as possible for you. So if you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe so you can keep a collection of all the bow making tutorials there. If you are on Facebook, just click the share button. That'll do a copy paste from my Facebook page to your Facebook page. Make sure you download the video though, because Facebook doesn't store videos longer than 30 days any longer. Couple other things. To turn notifications on so you don't miss any of these. We have been doing them every Tuesday, so this is our 3rd one. It is at 4 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And then I'm also live on Thursdays a little bit earlier. We go live at 2 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you don't want to miss that and you didn't get a chance to write all that down, just click the subscribe button or the subscription bell and you're all set up. If you are on Facebook, a little bit different. You'll need to make sure you've liked the page and then make sure you turn your notifications on, which is hidden. It's those 3 little dots to the right of the blue button. Click on that. It'll either say like turn notifications on or trying to think. It'll have some sort of button in regards to the live notifications being turned on. If you want to get a copy of my bow making recipe along with the tutorial, it's absolutely free. Just go to my website, which I'm going to put down in the comments below for you. It is at catscreationsandmore.com. Let me do that really quick. And so today we are covering Mastering the Makers is what it's called. So this is taking a deep dive to the pros and cons of the 3 main bow makers that are out there. That would be the Bowdabra, the EZ Bowmaker, and the ProBow. They call it ProBow The Hand, depending upon which kit you get. So we're going to look at all of them. We're going to break them apart. We're going to, like I said, highlight the pros and cons. All of these are available on Amazon, so you can purchase them on Amazon. And don't forget, today is Amazon Prime Day, so you might get some extra savings today. But when I checked, they were all there. Let's see. Hi, Georgiana. Welcome. Hi, Linda. Hi, Elizabeth. Hi, Tonette, watching from New Orleans. And we are all good to go. So I'm going to pivot you down. And we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm thinking that if we have enough time, we will try to get through my bow making recipe today. If not, we will definitely pick that up next week. And then every subsequent Tuesday until we finish the series, we will be working with the Bowdabra, 1 complete class, the EZ Bowmaker, 1 complete class, and then ProBow The Hand, one complete class for that. So, hi Brenda, hi Pamela, thank you for watching and checking in. Okay, so let's look at them. And I know they might not seem all that complicated, and you're like, what am I getting for all that money? So this is your Bowdabra. It does come with this little piece here. Sometimes you can get the kit that comes with floral wire and a CD and some instructions. This, like I said, is for me where I started, because when I started, it was the least expensive out of the three, and it still is out of the three. So let me just show you what they are, and then we'll discuss the pros and cons, and I'll tell you whether or not I actually agree with those. So Bowdabra, then you guys have all seen this, the EZ Bowmaker, okay, and then we have the ProBow, which, as you can tell, I still have mine in the original box, which, if we pull this out, geez, it's compacted in there pretty good. It comes with a whole bunch of different pieces. So I'm going to pull all these out and make sure we have everything. Just double checking the box to make sure we don't have anything in. So these are the Bowmakers. So, and I see these in order, the way that I'm doing them, from the cheapest to the most expensive, and then this would be average. And so they also line up perfectly with the pros and cons kind of thing. So if you're a beginner, recommendation is the Bowdabra. If you are what is called, what would you call, let me see how they phrased it in my checklist worksheet. I grabbed the wrong thing, but this should be okay. So this is intermediate crafters. You can do versatile bow projects with this. With the Bowdabra, you have quick basic bows, a lot of children's crafts you can use for this. Plus, I said there's a lot of other options that you can use your Bowmakers for in assisting you with wreath making and home decor type of stuff, because we have found that we can use them for other purposes. Like to make my angel tree topper, you need the Bowdabra. It just makes it so much easier. So based on price, the Bowdabra right now on Amazon is going for $20.59. The EZ Bowmaker is going for $29.99. And then we go over here to the ProBow The Hand, and this is on, it's available for $46.97. You might be able to get it cheaper through their website, but I know if you're like me, you know, we get used to the Amazon quick, you know, click, order, have it delivered. So I don't generally search out and try to find where is the cheapest place to get these products. So we will break them all down and decide pros and cons. But like I said, beginner, medium, and what I would say is it's not so much like for the advanced person, but it just, this one has a greater learning curve for people who are just getting started. So it's nice to have them all in your inventory, but starting out, I'm going to give you all the things so that you can make an informed decision. Let me poll the audience and ask, do any of you have a favorite bow maker that you love? What is your go-to bow maker? Trying to pull up my Facebook page so I can see all of the things. clicked into the wrong group. I guess that helps if I'm into the right group, Cat. Okay. So, hi, Valerie. Hi, Pamela. I'm just making sure I'm reading all of your comments as well. Elizabeth says the Bowdabra. Okay. Weigh in, you guys. What is your go-to bow maker? Bowdabra, EZ Bowmaker, and the ProBow. And if you guys have watched enough wreath making lives, you know that every single wreath maker pretty much has their own favorite bow maker. So that's why I said we're going to negotiate, pick them all apart, pros and cons kind of thing. Some of what made me lean towards one over the other from a general beginner wreath maker point of view, size mattered to me because sometimes, you know, we have very small craft space when we're just starting out, and so things need to fit. Sometimes they need to just fit in a closet. Sometimes they need to fit in our craft table. Sometimes they need to fit in our craft room somewhere, along with all the other stuff we're collecting, like deco mesh and ribbons and tools and all the things. This went a long way, and I usually kept it in my box most of the time, so that it was stackable. It was in a rectangle shaped box. For me, the EZ Bowmaker is the most cumbersome because even though it's the thinnest, it's got these wooden dowels that are sticking out, and people might say, well, you can take the wooden dowels out and store them. Well, they are made to not come out because you want the tension point in between your wooden dowels to stay tight so that it holds your ribbon, which means if you put these in and they're snug when you first get them to put them in, then this becomes a bit of a challenge to try to find somewhere. So, and then this one, obviously, there's a lot of pieces, but again, you saw the box it came in. I've been able to keep my box these 8 years, and I just kind of slide everything in the box, and because it's so thin and it's flat, I can kind of put it, you know, flat on the bottom of my shelf or alongside something in my closet. And so storage, I think these two are a little bit better than, say, this one. So I'm looking at your comments. So we had Elizabeth and Joan say the Bowdabra, Tonette and Linda and Audrey, EZ Bowmaker. Rita says ProBow. She also says the Bowdabra. Brenda says EZ Bowmaker. Okay, now let me ask you guys this question. The ones that have commented or the ones that are going to comment, what is your most favorite thing that you like about the Bowdabra, the EZ Bowmaker, and the ProBow before we get into this? I want to hear real life examples of what do you think is the huge benefit for you. Like, I've just given you space because, like I said, when I started out, all I had was half of a closet. So everything needed to be, you know, in squares or rectangle shaped containers, so they would all fit nice in my craft closet until it expanded into the entire closet, and then it took over the entire room, and then that spilled out into the storage shed, and then it spilled out into the garage, and then it was all three. And now I'm in an 800 square foot studio. It's like a giant shop. Okay, so Joan says it acts like my third hand and holds my bundles. So Joan liked, I'm going back up here, the Bowdabra, because it acts like your third hand. I would agree. And I like that about the Bowdabra is there's an awful lot of versatility that you can use this if you're doing deco mesh curls. It will hold your deco mesh curls. You can stuff, I think, about 9 of them in here before you reach capacity and they start to not want to stay in there. So 9 10-inch curls, and that's a lot, which gives you, you know, an extra boost in having an extra set of hands. Valerie says, I've had my EZ Bowmaker for years, and it's my go-to bow maker. She says, I have all 3. So Valerie, why do you prefer the EZ Bowmaker? That it is your go-to. Tanad said the middle stick holds your ribbons better, and she likes the ruler. So this is going with the EZ Bowmaker, so she likes the fact that you have these middle sticks, which holds your ribbon, and there's already a built-in ruler, which is definitely a nice asset. You notice that it is not available in the ProBow. That could be a definite addition. They could easily build that in to the bottom of that, or even put it on the spool holder. Let's see. Rita says the ProBow, this one here, makes perfect bows every time without holding it in my hand. I would agree with you. She also says that Bowdabra is great for bows and to hold the mesh. And Valerie says it's the EZ Bowmaker was the one she started with, and so she likes the built-in ruler. Okay, awesome. Okay, let's break these down. So I am going to move these off to the side, and we're going to just take a look at this one. So what you get with your Bowmaker is these things are on tension-like springs. So when you go to put your ribbon inside your bow maker, right, if we are putting it in here and we're going to make our tails, this holds it. So it holds the thinnest ribbon. You can put 5, I wouldn't go too far, maybe 7/8. 7/8 would be about as low as I would go. But as you build up layers, it keeps applying more and more pressure the closer you get to the top. The other added benefit that the Bowdabra has is you can start it with a pipe cleaner through these little slits that go down in the sides, so we can preload it for our pipe cleaner. That was a zip tie. We can preload it right here with our pipe cleaner, zip tie, or floral wire. So before we even start the process, we can put that in. So we'll go back to the others and say, can they do this as well? They may or they may not. So these are some of the perks according to the manufacturers. Like, these are the pros about using this. So you can preload so that you don't have to worry about, like, once you get all of your ribbons in and you're ready to make your bow, you just pull up on this, right? It's already got all of your layers secured. You can slide this around to the back and go ahead and secure. If you have your zip tie, same thing. We have our zip tie in. It's going to come up underneath here, and then we're ready to zip tie, and then we can rotate that to the back if we want. That's a benefit right there. Okay, this thingy. I never use it with my Bowdabra, but what it is designed to do is, as you start putting in the layers of your ribbon and you start adding your loops and we add more ribbon and everything else, before we get ready to pick that up and secure this, you can take this little wand, you can slide it down into the middle gently because it's made out of plastic. You can compress those layers down so that everything is nice and tight before you pull this up, grab your pipe cleaner or zip tie, and go ahead and secure it. Now, one of the things that we had already talked about in regards to the Bowdabra is its ability to hold other things. Anything that you need to put in here, whether it's ribbon, whether it is, I don't have, yes I do, I have a piece of deco mesh. Whether we're going to be making deco mesh curls or angel wings, you can go ahead and roll these slide those right in and keep on going, especially if you're doing like color combinations. It's really hard to, like if we're doing orange, black, and white, if I want to put all three of those together, I either have to roll them separately, clip them, because it's going to be a real challenge to roll it, hold it, roll the second one, hold that, roll the third one, and try to put them all together and have them look as good as the first one did. So having a device like this allows you to slide your deco mesh pieces in. Then when you have all your three, again, if you preloaded this, you can just pull this up, zip tie, and now you have all your deco mesh curls ready to go. Huge lifesaver for people who have arthritis in their hands or a general weakness in their hands. As we get older, oh my, trying to peel the darn little label off my coffee creamer is a nightmare. I hate it. And so I realize I'm losing strength in my hands. And so trying to find things that are a tool that can aid me in additional things is a huge benefit. When we are doing our angel tree topper and we need it to hold our angel wings, I have to have that because I need something to help me hold my 12 layers of stacked wings. So if I was doing my angel wings, I'm doing them like this, and I've got to do this 12 different times, rolling this over, so now I've got a set of wings. I can now slide these in, and now it will hold all my wing layers for me perfectly to allow me now a free set of hands to make the next set, and then I can come in and keep stacking them. Now I know I said that it only holds about 9 10-inch deco mesh ruffles because we're ruffling them a little bit, but you can get all 12 pieces in using some chip clips to kind of help keep your stacks a little closer together, because here we're going flat, whereas here, you know, we don't want it flat. We want it to have a curl to it. So it's going to take up more space than a set of wings would. Okay. Deborah says, I've only used the Bowdabra, but it's easy on her osteoarthritis. And I would agree. For me, I need an extra set of hands. Some days you just have days where your hands just won't function very well. So we talked about the Bowdabra, beginner friendly, price point is the lowest. The clamp holds the ribbons in place. It is fast when you're going to make simple bows. So like when we were doing that simple bow, you can look at how easy this is to make. Remember when we were doing 7, 7, 7? We could totally do this here. The first thing we want to do is measure out our 7. Okay. We pinch it, place that inside our Bowdabra. We're going to go up and over so that, why am I doing this the wrong way? Okay, we're just going to twist it wrong way. So we start with wrong way in. We're going to do 3.5-inch tails or loops because we did 7 inches. So 7 and 7, or I'm sorry, 3.5 and 3.5 is 7. So when I go to measure these out, having the cutting mat handy works really well. And I want to get these at 3.5. So that is 3.5 inches. I have this set up on my 20-inch line, lining up that split in the center. I have 3.5 here. I'm going to do the same thing here. And I'm always building from the opposite side. There we go. We're going to do the same thing. Another 3.5, lining it up. And I need this a little bit there. And then we're back out for our last 7 inches. Scissors. Okay. Forgot to dovetail at the very beginning, but we'll dovetail these just to have a simple bow. So we're going from the folded side to the wired point. I'm doing that one underhanded. Okay, so technically we're all done, right? This is how we did our super simple hand-tied bow last time. This time, however, we have perfection in the fact that our tails are exactly the same length. The loops are exactly the same length. Now all I'd have to do is grab a pipe cleaner. Trying to get a black one. Or a zip tie. And you're all ready to go. So just twist, twist, twist. Everything's ready right here. We have our loops, we have our loops. So that's how some people are like, well, can't you just take all your measurements and slap it in there? Yes, you can. You can do the very same bow and do dovetail end. Like let's say, for example, you're remembering it from last time. We're going to measure out 7 inches. We're going to gather. We're going to move this down. We're going to do another 7 inches. We're going to gather and pass off with a twist. We're going to do another 7 inches, gather. We're going to pass it behind the back with a twist. And then I'm going to measure out another 7 inches. And so people are like, oh, why don't you just throw it in your bow maker? Well, I could if I had it at that time. So I could just take the entire thing. Here's my extra set of hands so that I can go ahead and do my dovetail end, go get myself my pipe cleaner or additional ribbons that I want to go ahead and add. And we've got the very same thing. Tails are the same length, loops are the same length. So we're good when it comes time. I'm just going to snag a piece of pipe cleaner. We're good when it comes time to put our bow together. So this is what it means by it's really good for making simple bows. Now, can it make complex bows? To a certain extent, yes. To a certain extent, no. Could I get away with doing huge tree topper bows with this? No, I wouldn't try it. It has some limitations because that would be an awful lot of ribbon going in an awful lot of different ways, different lengths, different bow lengths. But this is definitely good for, I would say, 6 to 7 different types of ribbon, depending upon how many loops you're going to make in that. Let's see, what else does it say? It does come with an instructional guide. So, you could watch. How many people still have DVDs? I don't know if anybody. I'm hoping there's a QR code that you can link it back to Bowdabra, but I haven't checked that out. So some of the downsides of this is we talked about having a bigger bow, lots more ribbon, maybe adding a 4-inch, a 2.5 inch, and an 1.5 inch, and maybe mixing and matching those. We might be pretty limited on what we could do. I would definitely say no to the tree topper large bows, the ones that go on the tops of the Christmas trees, or the ones that would go on top of large packages like appliances or cars, or just big boxes. It's less precision for the loop designs, which means if you don't have a way of measuring how long your loops are, if I didn't have a cutting mat with this, I'd be pretty limited, because the only way I'm making these turn out to where everything is the same is my measurements are staying 7, 7, 7, 7. Okay, even when we did it in the Bowdabra, we were still 7, 7, 7, 7. Okay. It can crush the ribbon if it's overstuffed. So there is a capacity side to this, but I think that's to be said for all of them. The more ribbon that you're likely to put in here, the more likely you have an opportunity where things are going to get pinched, things are going to get compressed. The great thing is as you're building this one, you can make sure, because you can see both sides of it at the same time, you can see where things are pinched, so you have an opportunity to smooth those out as you're building it. But if you're not paying attention, it is easy to kind of get things a little bit pinched and stuffed in the crack of the Bowdabra. And it also says that it is not ideal for larger bows, which we had already talked about. But you can do anything from, I would say, 6 to 7 different types of ribbon, depending on how many loops. So if I was doing like this and I wanted to do like 6 loops on this one and then do 6 loops on another one, you're going to be like, we only have so much capacity here before things start to lose their tension and we start to run out of room. But we can load it up, secure it temporarily, and then go ahead and continue and then put the two together. That would be our way of solving that. Okay. Let me see if there was anything else I needed to address on the Bowmaker. I did a really quick PDF on the pros and cons of each of them. We talked Bowdabra, user-friendly even for beginners, holds ribbon securely with that clamp style slot, hands-free bow making, easy for quick basic bows if we're going to do these for ribbons or crafts. This works really good for wired and non-wired ribbons because of that tension point. We talked about putting mesh in here. You can also put tulle in, and I've even used this for rag bows, believe it or not, so it does hold fabric. Let's see. We talked about all the cons. There's only 4 negatives. That it's not ideal for large or layered designs. It's less precise for multi-loop or stacked bows because it does not contain a ruler. And if you don't have one while you're using it, that could be an issue for you. You can pinch or crush your ribbon if you pack them in too tight, and then we cannot use them for the larger holiday bows. So that is the ProBow pros and cons. So I actually, see, here's the graphic that I'm working off of. I actually created this today with pros and cons and then what it is best for, so that you kind of have all the facts. So I'm not recommending one over another. I'm just giving you all the things. Okay. Then we're going to look at, and put this one to the side. We're going to look at the EZ Bowmaker. This one I've used a handful of times because it functions in the same way as like the Bowdabra. I have a tendency of defaulting back to that, because it's the same thing. We have a tension-based system. We have one for smaller ribbons, and we have one for larger ribbons. So this one can accommodate, let us look. How large will the ribbon go? Well, if they ever make 7-inch wide ribbon, you're good to go here, because this is 7 inches from the base of the EZ Bowmaker all the way up to the top of the dowel. We talked about one of the downsides of this one is the dowels are not meant to be taken out and put back in, because that will affect the tension point that you have in here. That's also another con, is once you've been using this for a while, this does not have the ability like having a tension spring where, you know, it's a relax and tighten. as you're building more and more bows, depending upon what you're doing, you're going to notice that it's going to develop some slack. What you can do at that point is take them out. You can put them back in. You can glue them in place at this point in order to give yourself some of that tension back that you had initially, or just go get 2 more dowels in the same diameter that you need and put 2 more in, and then you're good to go. This one, as far as its pros, it does come with a built-in, this would be, I'm looking, a 20-inch ruler. So we have it from here. This is our 0. This goes all the way to 12. This goes all the way to 8. It does have a built-in spool holder so that while you're working on your design, as you're pulling your ribbon back and forth, it's automatically controlling how your ribbon spools out or feeds out to you. Remember, this one was just roughly I want to say $8.50 more than the Bowdabra. But let's talk about some more pros, good things. Again, like the Bowdabra, it has a fairly easy learning curve. Same thing. You're going to start with your dovetail end. You're going to measure out your tails. So this is always starting at 0. So if we wanted to do that bow, here's our 7 inches. You're going to, here's our 7 inches. Okay. See, I'm a person that has to switch because I always like building from the left side, and I'm not left-handed, but there's a lot of people who can do it this way. I am not one of them. That's not my preference. But now you can measure out your 3.5 inches. So if we just do our twist and we just keep feeding this in, we can get it to our 3.5. We'll put our twist in. Oops. Go ahead and go back over. Slide that inside. Pull in your 3.5. And then we're going to twist one more time. And we're going to take this out 7 inches for the exact same bow. So this one, you don't need your cutting mat or ruler. It's like all in one. Okay. Same thing here. We've got our ribbon. Go ahead and grab another pipe cleaner. Oops. Just cut these in half. We're just going to pick this up. Go ahead and put our pipe cleaner on it. And then you would just fluff. You know, you'd lift open your tails or your loops, fluff your tails, and we have already got our bow done. Let's see what else is the pros on this one. Supports multi-leap bow creation, which just means if I wanted to come in here with a 2.5 inch ribbon, and the Bowdabra does this too, it goes all the way up to 4 inches. So you can do up to 4 inches on all of them. So this is another one of those pros, is you can do things. This allows you, I think, to visually see it as it's being created. So if I was going to make a bow with this one, and I was doing 12-inch tails, I can go ahead and measure out my 12, and then I'm going to do my twist, and I'll go up and over. I'd like to always put the twist in them first. And that's a 6-inch loop. I would probably bring that in a little bit more to 5.5. Here's my twist. Up and over. I'm going to pull this back to 5.5. I can, not only does it have it here, it has it on the side so that as I'm standing here doing this, I can measure everything out. Now the downside is this side only goes to 8. So I am just going to stretch this out to the full 12, knowing that I have my cutting mat here. And if we wanted to stack one on top of the other, the nice thing here is you can kind of pre-fluff out and kind of visually see what your bow is going to look like before we go ahead and put it through. So if we wanted to, we could see the stack kind of forming, and then you can kind of, the nice thing is you can pick it up. If we wanted to add in a totally different pattern to this, we can definitely do that. So let me do this one, and we will do the same thing. This time I'm going to do 10 inches. Whoops, there's my 10. I'm going to go up and over. So I'm just visually looking at it, bringing it in just a little bit on both sides. And then I'm going to bring this one out. I need this back on my 10-inch line so I can get the extra 2. Okay, here we go. Dovetail cut. Let's see what this looks like as we're building it. Okay, and then if we want, we can come in and add our top, and then you can kind of see how that's going to fluff so that you can really quick make a design change and go with a different loop option. And you can see the progression of your tails. This one is, like I said, the shortest one that I generally go with, the 3.5-inch loop. This is our 5.5-inch loops at the bottom, but we have some really long tails here. But don't know if you guys have noticed what was happening as I'm putting all my bows in. It is splitting my dowel, which means as we get fuller, this is going to have a tendency of going up and out. So you start to you lose a little bit of your tension there as you're stacking more and more of your ribbons into this device. That's just for me what has always been, besides space, storage space, that has always been an issue for me. So another, and they're already picking that up in the cons, that the pegs, loose pegs, may shift. It's less sturdy than a ProBow as far as the dowels go. It is challenging if you have some thick or stiff ribbon, like the kind that's been painted on, to try to get that through here, because the spacing doesn't really yield as much as like a tension spring would. And then manual work is still needed for the tails. Well, you still need to do those anyway on all the other bow makers. We're still measuring in order to have a consistent look on all of our bows. But like I said, for here, you can physically see it being built rather than doing it this way. You're basically building your bow this way. Let me look back here. Hi, Anna. Rita says, I find the Bowdabra to be too light. It moves easy. I'm thinking the rest of the comment was, while you're making the bows, those are some pros and cons. Like I said, for here, I was limited. The fact that I have 12 inches here, I don't have 12 inches here. I would have liked to have seen it the same on both sides so that you don't have to make an adjustment, because this is a little bit longer with the integrated spool holder. Maybe not include that. I don't really feel like wreath makers need to have a spool holder. but I would definitely think that they would like having same length on either side depending upon the type of bow that you're making. Jenna says, I found 2 EZ Bowmakers in a brand new Bowdabra still in the box. Wow. She said the EZ Bowmakers were $2.99 and the Bowdabra's $3.49. Good for you, girl. You got one heck of a deal there. And there's no wrong, like, I have them all. So I have people who say, can you teach us a tutorial using the EZ Bowmaker? That's what I have. Can you teach us a tutorial using the Bowdabra, using the ProBow? It's like, I have them all. And so what we're doing today is a comparison on pros and cons. What are the good, the bad, and the ugly? Okay. So this one, very much like the Bowdabra, it has very much of the similar things that we like. The ability to be able to see the bows being built. We like the tension. For me, like I said, the con was that it doesn't store well for me. I guess. And here's one thing I didn't really think about when I was doing this. The spool holder doesn't go all the way through, but I guess you could, if you wanted to, drill a hole all the way in there, and then you can like hang it on a peg in your craft closet. Or like the way I do it, I just stand it vertically and just tuck it into my bookcase, because that's like my only way of storing that. I am going to come in and we will add a pipe cleaner to the last 2 layers here. Heck, why not? Let's just put all those 3 together, because we have a really nice, cute Halloween festive bow. Same thing. Just twist, twist, twist. Fluff, fluff. Fluffing all the things. So you'd still want to come in and give it some bow love and fluff all of your ribbon tails around. None of them have a built-in fluff board. That would be the ideal bow maker, as if it had its own built-in fluff maker. But that's where I've come in and I have made my own. I'm not into the whole selling thing, just because it's too heavy to warrant making and selling. But there is our bow right here for this one. So I've got 1, got 2, and now we're going to take a look with the time that we have left on the ProBow. So most expensive, the learning curve on this one is hard. For me, I still, before I use any of the stuff, I still have to go back in and watch my old tutorials of like how I learned how to do it, because it does have a huge learning curve. But one of the advantages that this one has that the other ones don't is it makes a perfectly uniformed bow. And the reason is because everything is precisely done. Every single one of these holes is for your ribbon to go around, so that what we do on this side is the exact same on this side. You can go in and watch tons of videos at ProBowTheHand.com, and you can watch Regina Sellers, who made the ProBow. This is her design. You can watch all different kinds of different bows that you can make using this device. Like I said, it is the highest price. This one is $46.97 is what the total price is. It does have little silicone feet to keep that in place. It does have a weight to it, which is really nice. So you can make professional looking symmetrical bows. You can layer different ribbons here, just like the other ones. It goes 1.5 inches, 2.5 inches, 4 inches. It'll take all of those. These are where you make your true topper bows from with this particular bow maker, if you want it to come out precise looking and fabulous. This is great for what they call boutique style stacked bows, in the fact that everything is going to be exactly perfect. This is what I call the perfect bow maker. So if you're looking to make a fairly symmetrical bow all the way around, this is going to be the thing. The cons, the learning curve is hard. It's hard to remember unless you're using it all the time. It is slower to use for beginners. So here it is, 8 years. I'm still slow at using this. It does require you to manually hold your dowels. So, for example, you get the thin ones and you get the thicker ones. It does come with a built-in 3-spool ribbon holder. So, depending upon if you want that center loop in your bow, you would, if you didn't want it, you would omit it, and you would just start to fill in all your pegs. And this is how many loops? So 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't have to go through all of them. You could just stop at 4 loop. And if you wanted a 4-loop bow, you would just go like this. And then you need one down here, which is your starting point. So now if you notice, there is no tension. There's no dowels that hold the tension. There's no tension spring for you to insert them in. You have to do all the holding based on, this is your starting point. So you would start with the tail, and we're going to come back and do quite a few bow tutorials using this. You would start off with your tails, and then you're going to loop. You're going to come back, do your twist, loop the next one, come back, do your twist. If that's all it is, then that's your tail. You also have the opportunity of doing what's called a stacked bow, meaning that if I wanted the simplicity of doing 3 different 1.5-inch ribbons, I could, we're going to do a tutorial on this one, but I could line these up like this with all of my ribbons. And we can have our tail, and then as I go around, right, we have to have our twist because we've got to put our right side fabric on the other side. You would take these, and they're all going to go around your peg, and then they're all going to come back. You're going to do another twist, and you're going to go around your peg. But now when I go to fluff, like I'm just going to hold these temporarily like this. When I go to fluff, when I go and pull this off, I now have 3 different layers. So I would have 3 to the right side, 3 to the left side, or 2 to the right side, 2 to the left. So it allows you to stack your ribbons for fluffing, which the other ones do not allow. So this is a con. But as you can see, and I'm just holding this, which obviously makes it so much more difficult to do. But as you can see, all of my loop lengths are exactly the same. My tail lengths would all be exactly the same. And then I'd have another 6 on this side. So real quick, easy way, do, you know, a 6-loop bow or multiple. When we're doing the tree topper bow, we are doing something similar to this. We are taking 3 different types of ribbon, stacking it. We are using all of the peg holes. Trying to get to the longer ones. We are using all of them. Oops. To make that really large tree topper bow. And again, if you want the center loop, you could come in with your dowel rod and put in the center. We would start center loop, then you'd go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, stop. And then we would secure everything here. Once it's all secured and we have our tails all in place, like I said, you'll get a full demo on how to do all the bows on here, even these little baby bows right here, which are great for like small packages, hair bows, all of the things. We're going to do it all together. I'm going to show you all the tips and tricks there are. You don't always have to stack your ribbon. You could just do something simple, and it could just start off as something like this. And we're going to do our first one, and so this would be like, let me see, here would be my baby tail. I'm just going to come around and do this, kind of not as good as I probably should. Oops. And then we would go this way, and then so much nicer when things make sense. This would go around our second peg, comes back here nice and tight, and this one, because it's all going to be based on how much tension you put on that, it's going to stay nice and tight. And then you can start with your next bow if you wanted a different one, and these will be subsequently longer loops as you go further to the outside. Okay. And I don't know why I did that. It should have gone here if we were doing, sorry, if we were doing a loop on each side, so that we have exact loops on both sides. And then we would measure out our tail. This one will go this way. And then we would measure out the last of our tail here, cut it, add our second bow, add our third, add our fourth, as many as you want. Now, the spacing on the loops, let's look at this. So to go to the far extreme, the size of your loop is going to be it is 14 inches, so it's doing a 7-inch loop. And then each one, remember, as we go further and further to the outside, using this outside peg holes, we're looking for longer and longer loops. This one's now 18. If we did it all the way to the ones on the outside, come on. We're at 20. Exactly. So probably 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, however it wants to go. If you don't want your loops that big, then you would bring them in to where you yielded something along the lines of like what we were trying to accomplish. So if I wanted something that was like 3.5-inch loops, oops, I'm trying to see, is it row B that would give it to me? Yes. So I would be working that bow through these ones. So if I wanted it that size, I'm going to move my pegs down here, and I'm going to see if the outside one is about 5.5 inches. We're right at 12, so pretty darn close. So if I was to do something with my bow making recipe, I know I only do 6, and I don't use a center, so I could skip those. Let's use the fatter dowels. And I do 6 ribbons, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This would probably make my bow making recipe. So what we will do next week is we will craft some bows using my recipe on all 3 of the bow makers to see what does it yield from bow maker to bow maker. And of course, it's going to also depend on the talent or lack thereof of the person making the bows, which for me, I'm not really good at the ProBow, but I'll be practicing this. Some of the other, like I said, benefits about this one is it does come with a spool holder. So when we're making our big bows, I do use this to keep all my bows, all of my ribbons in line so that they all don't unspool. And that is going to be based on a rule of you learning what works for you. For example, okay, let's do this one. I'm trying to make sure that they're all winding up on the same, which means here's where it's ending. Here's where it's ending. So you have to load them in correctly. Like I couldn't put one, eeks. I couldn't put one going this way. That's not going to function. Let me scoot this over. I couldn't do it this way. They all have to line up. So they all have to feed off the same direction. So I could take all three of these now and it becomes like a ribbon dispenser, and I could start and keep them all even tension, even stack as I'm working them through individually all through the Bowmaker. Valerie says, let's see. I am reading your comments. Can't. Why is it not letting me scroll up? Okay. And Valerie says, I love this spool holder. I have a dowel coming out of mine. What's interesting though is, Valerie, what you can do is just measure the diameter of your dowel and try to get it just a little bit bigger. I know that the ones that came with it, they kind of have a little groove or a little indentation. I don't have that on some of the other ones I wanted, because I wanted a ton of extra pieces so that, I don't know, I could get them all going. Let's see what else. Anna says Christmas in July has arrived in Hobby Lobby. That's nice. I'll have to head over there. Valerie does say it does make a beautiful bow. And in all honesty, you won't be able to ever get a bow that looks that perfect using any other bow maker. So next week we will master Let's Make Bows with our bow maker. But like I said, Bowdabra, perfect for beginners. EZ Bowmaker is intermittent. It kind of has like the pros and cons. You can go back and watch this for those pros and cons. The ProBow The Hand is going to give you that precise, perfect bow every single time because the formula is already laid out for you. As far as costs go, from the least expensive to the most expensive, we're going Bowdabra at $20.59, the EZ Bowmaker as of today $29.99, and ProBow The Hand is $46.97. So that's all I have for you guys today. I look forward to next week where we're going to turn out some really gorgeous looking bows, and hopefully you'll be encouraged because you'll see me struggle real life just like you would too. Okay, everyone. Well, thanks for joining me